Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my media feed for my most recent sound bites, clips, and reactions. Here is also my merchandise, and here is our new logo, part of our rebrand. So, what you can do, you can go on millions.co, create you an account, go up under my profile, which is the key, go to my merchandise store and buy you some merchandise and some keys to the road apparel. Now, let's get to these blowouts. Well, let's get to this first blowout that I saw yesterday. Now, New York Knicks and Philadelphia 76ers, finally, that series is over with because the 76ers, they didn't have a chance to win this series. And we can also see where throughout this series, the New York Knicks had more bench production. Now, I'm gonna go with the scores from yesterday. As you all can see, Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart, they had 17 points each. Mikal Bridges had 12. Jalen Brunson had 22. Miles McBride had 25. And as far as their bench production, it fluctuated between scores. But for the 76ers, the game got so bad to where they were down by 45 at one point. 45. And 76ers, Joel Embiid, 24, Kelly Oubre Jr., 10, Tyrese Maxey, 17, VJ Edgecombe, 8. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get to the 76ers, their future outlook. Now, next season, possibility coming back from the summer, and they pick up the new season starting in October. So the 76ers, it looked like that majority of this team is returning. But if the 76ers, if they have a few picks in next month's NBA draft, I would draft a center because you already know how Joel Embiid is going to function. He is going to miss about 25 to 30 games or possibly more. And for the 76ers, they need a center every game as far as for their defense and having somebody to defend the basket consistently, because Joel Embiid, he's had a injury riddled career, and it's almost like with Joel Embiid, every time he gets injured, we're always asking ourselves, is this the injury that will derail his career? Because sometimes when I see him get injured, I have to hold my breath and say, okay, when is he returning? That's automatically where I go. But as far as for the 76ers, they should start building for the future. You have Tyrese Maxey, you have Kelly Oubre Jr., you have VJ Edgecombe. Now you need a young center, preferably in their early to mid 20s, so Joel Embiid and him can shoulder the load. So hopefully the 76ers can do that, but I don't see the 76ers being the type of championship contender. They wasn't a championship contender coming into this season, and going into next season, they won't be a championship contender. They'll be right at the level they are right now. Possibly a first round exit or They may have a first round upset again going into the second round and get eliminated in the second round. So I'm not going to show any highlights of this game because 98% of the highlights from the game is New York Knicks highlights, and I've already told you the game, and it was just so lopsided. Largest lead, I said earlier, was 44, and largest lead for the 76ers was 2, and that was in the opening minutes of the game. So the New York Knicks will be facing the two teams in the Eastern Conference that will be playing tonight, the Pistons and the Cavaliers. I will get into that matchup a little bit later on in the show. But the next matchup I want to cover is the San Antonio Spurs and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves has made this series interesting. I had the Spurs in 5 games, but obviously now it's down to a 3-game series. Game 5 is in San Antonio. Game 6 is back in Minnesota, and Game 7 is in San Antonio. But now, Victor Wembanyama, I'm just going to get right into it. Wemby, first career ejection. He probably didn't mean to elbow the guy in the neck, but when you look at it from if you don't get the context as you're looking at it, you can say that it was, malicious intent with that. But we all know that when it comes to Wemby, he doesn't do anything with malicious intent. It was just an unfortunate situation that he was in. But the Spurs, they have a little bit of adversity. Just like they did in game 2, they had some adversity. They came out in game 3 won. And even in the previous series versus the Trailblazers, they had adversity after game 2. But here's the thing. The Timberwolves, they are in a good situation, and possibly Victor Wembanyama may get suspended for Game 5. But one thing about the Timberwolves, I believe that you've had the same team with a couple of additions throughout the years with Anthony Edwards, because 22 they were in the playoffs. 23 they were in the playoffs. And then the last 2 years, you've made it to the Western Conference Finals, and you've lost to the Dallas Mavericks with, at the time, Luka Doncic. He was still with the Mavericks. And last year, the Timberwolves, they lost to the OKC Thunder, defending champions. So what if the Timberwolves do find a way to beat the Spurs? What do we expect this time around when they are playing? More than likely, it'll probably be the Oklahoma City Thunder. I just expect Oklahoma City Thunder to win the series. That's what I expect, because the Timberwolves, they don't match up well with OKC. No matter how many times Anthony Edwards has a Herculean effort, they don't match up with OKC. Now, with the Spurs, everybody was off a little bit last night. As you can see, De'Aaron Fox was 8 of 23. You had Stephon Castle, 8 of 17. You didn't really have much contribution from your bench. Dylan Harper, he had 24, and that was the most that the Spurs had off of the bench. Now with the Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, 36 points. Ayo Dosunmu, 10 points. Rudy Gobert, 11. Jaden McDaniels, he is always will be a defensive specialist, so 14 points. Julius Randle, 12. Naz Reid, 15. And Mike Conley and Terrence Shannon Jr. both had 8 points respectfully. Now, even with Victor Wembanyama being out, the Spurs, they still had a chance to win this game. I don't know what that says about the Spurs because they are a resilient bunch outside of Victor Wembanyama. And what it says to me about the Timberwolves is even when your opponent is under man, you still can't take control of a game because largest lead of this game for the Timberwolves was 9. And without Victor Wembanyama, I would say that lead should have been at least 12 to 15, and they possibly should have won by that much at the end of the game. 15, 12 to 15 points. But the Spurs, this series is far from over, and it looks like that this series may go to the limit. It does. Now I want to get to the last few minutes of the game. I'm not even going to show you all the first quarter highlights. I'm going to get right down to the last 2 minutes of this game. Here, the Spurs, they had trouble defending. Julius Randle, he got all the way there and throws it to Rudy Gobert. Nobody, and I do mean nobody without Wemby. Everybody for the Timberwolves, they had a free lane to the basket because Victor Wembanyama is the Spurs shot blocker. And even in this situation right here, I like what the Spurs did. They didn't settle for the 3. They got to the free throw line. Now this was a crazy play right here. It almost looked like it was going to go out of bounds, but Dezamu, he saved the ball, and this was pretty much didn't get a good shot. You're basically just depending on some luck right there, and that's where the Minnesota Timberwolves win in a 114-109 Game 4 victory. Now, Game 5 is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What can the Timberwolves do? Can they keep this momentum going and possibly close out the Spurs in 6? Or do the Spurs have enough in the tank for a Game 5 victory and possibly close out the Timberwolves on their home floor? Or does this series go to a 7th game? It all remains to be seen, but this is going to be a very, very interesting last 3 games of this series. So, I got 2 more games to cover. 2 more Game 4s to cover. And the first game is the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. One of these teams are going to face the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks are waiting, and one thing that I can say about the New York Knicks and both of these teams is Detroit, they won every game versus the New York Knicks in the regular season, but Detroit didn't have all of their players at full strength. And the way it's looking, the New York Knicks, if the Pistons and Cavaliers series does go to a 7th game, the Knicks, they are going to have like a 5-6 day layoff between games. But let me get to the Pistons and the Cavaliers. So Cavaliers, they won their home game. They won every playoff home game, but the Cavaliers can't win on the road for some reason, and that is going to hurt the Cavaliers if they get to the Eastern Conference Finals and to the NBA Finals. Because if you want to be a good team and a championship team, you got to find a way to at least win 1 or 2 games on the road if you don't have home court advantage. Now for Game 4, which is tonight, Cunningham and the Pistons visit Cleveland with 2-1 series lead. Bottom line, the Pistons, they visit the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference second round with a 2-1 series lead. The Cavaliers are, as you already know, 33-19 in conference play. Cleveland is 2-5 in games decided by 4 points or less. And this is basically the same thing that I read, so I'm not going to bore you all with that. But when it comes to the Cavaliers, I would not be surprised if the Cavaliers did win this game. But if I'm the Detroit Pistons, I'm trying to close this series out as soon as possible. And with a game 4 win tonight, they will be up 3-1 and they will have a chance to go back. They'll have a chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 20 years. In over 20 years. So Cleveland, when it comes to the big four, as I like to call them, Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen, I believe those players for the rest of this series, all 4 of them got to average 20 points. If all 4 of them average 20 points, that's 80 points combined between your top 4 players. And then you need a good 25 to 30 points from your bench production, and that will win the Cavaliers the series. But when we talk about the Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham, it's a one-man show. It's Cade Cunningham, and who else is coming with him? Duncan Robinson hasn't had a good series. Tobias Harris hasn't had a good series. It seems like Jalen Duren, he can only score single digits. And also, when it comes to bench production for the Detroit Pistons, it's been up and down. But as far as tonight, if the Detroit Pistons want to take that next step and push the Cavaliers to the brink of elimination, it starts tonight, because whoever wins this series, the New York Knicks are waiting. And I believe that the next series with the New York Knicks, they'll probably blow both of these teams out. They will. They'll probably blow both of these teams out, because I do believe that the Knicks are probably on their way to the NBA Finals, but we got to see who the Knicks match up against coming out of the West, because I already said yesterday in my reaction video, 3-minute reaction video, that the Knicks are possibly not winning the NBA Finals. And to all you Knicks fans out there, I think it would be best if the New York Knicks lose a couple of games here and there, just to bring the New York fan base back down to earth, because you got celebrities who are fans of the New York Knicks talking about, we gonna make it to the finals, we gonna win the NBA Finals. I'm like, can y'all focus on the Eastern Conference Finals first? Because you don't even know who you're gonna play. You don't. So game 4 is tonight for the Pistons and the Cavaliers, and the next series I'm going to cover is the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Los Angeles Lakers. The storyline coming into game 4, can the Lakers extend this series to a 5th game? I was looking at this game Saturday night. I was looking at game 3 Saturday night, and it was just first half, Lakers, everything was going right, but then in that second half, the Thunder, anybody can come off the bench and put up 10 points for the Thunder. And when it comes to the Lakers, they don't have that. And I even read JJ Redick's lips when it came to the third quarter. And some of the assistant coaches was asking him, who do you want to put in the game? And I could just read JJ Redick's lips saying that I can't play him. And I have an idea who he was talking about, but the Lakers are a team that when it comes to needs going into this offseason, they need a dominant center. They need a dominant center, and maybe I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. LeBron, he's probably out the door. LeBron and Bronny James, they're possibly out the door. And for the Lakers, it could really be just Luka Doncic's team. That's what I see. I see I see LeBron going somewhere for about another a good 2 year contract. Him and Bronny going somewhere for a 2 year contract and possibly trying to win another championship because LeBron has been with the Lakers for 8 years and they've gotten to the conference since they won the championship in 2020. They've gotten to the conference finals one time in 2023. Then 2024, you get knocked out of the first round by the team that knocked you out the previous year, the Denver Nuggets. 2025 last year, you get knocked out by the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now currently you're about to get swept because no team has ever came back in the history of the NBA, came back from a 3-0 lead. Teams that take 3-0 leads is 160-0. Could the Lakers be the first team to make history? Whoo, that's a loaded question right there. That is a loaded question, and I said this before the series started. The Lakers can play their best game, but it still won't be enough. It still won't be enough because SGA, Shea Butter, his shot is pure. You got Alex Caruso that can come off the bench. You got about 5 or 6 guys that can come off of the bench for the Oklahoma City Thunder and put up 10 to 15 points. So, OKC, more than likely they will be back in the Western Conference Finals for the 3rd straight year. And the Lakers, my Lakers, they got to do some soul searching. They got to build. They got to build. They need 2 valuable centers. You need scoring. You need scoring production because let's just say this, if Luka goes to the bench and Austin Reeves go to the bench, and I'm going to just say this as a hypothetical. Let's say if LeBron comes back, if all 3 of those guys go to the bench, you need somebody that can go find that shot. Nobody, if those 3 players go to the bench, nobody can find their shot, and that's why the offense is stagnant. That's why the offense is stagnant, and I already know that the new Lakers owner, he's already trying to go all in because he is not a person that loses. The new Lakers owner, he's won championships with the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's won championships in the NHL with the team that he owns. He has ownership with quite a few sports teams, and all of the sports teams have won championships. So the Lakers are work in progress. That I believe the Lakers are transitioning from LeBron to Luka, and let's see what the Lakers can do, because the same problems that the Lakers have had this season, they've had them for the past 4 years. Ever since they won the championship in 2020, they've had those same problems. And the Lakers, they just need a fresh start and a restart. They do. But do the Lakers win tonight's game? Hopefully they do. But everything is pointing to Oklahoma winning tonight. So Hopefully the Lakers can win game 4, set it back to a game 5. And with that, those are my predictions and reactions to the Knicks versus 76ers, Timberwolves versus Spurs, and predictions and previews for the Pistons and the Thunder. Please like, comment, share, subscribe to Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and the keyonmillions.co. Here is my merchandise. You can create you an account with millions. Go up under my profile called The Key. Go to my merchandise store and you can purchase you some keys to the road apparel. And everybody, I just want to thank you for looking at my show every day and making it the word of mouth. This show is not able to be successful without the viewership. And one thing, Friday I will be eclipsing a milestone, but I will tell you more about it on Friday. So remember, everybody, one last thing: the key is always on time.